say and spell your name for us.
Shawntell Lewis-Harrell, Shawntell Lewis hyphen Harrell Harrell.
All right, Shawntell, tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, where you were raised, and where you went to school.
Well, I grew up in a small rural community called New Iberia, a few miles south of Lafayette, and it was a very, very nurturing home. I grew up in a two-parent household. I have 5 brothers and 2 sisters, so I'm the baby of 8.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so Christmas and other holidays are quite interesting.
Yeah,
we
that's
all
a big
have,
family.
It is a huge family, and then we all, were married, and then we had kids. So you can just imagine
You
how things
multiplied.
are. Yes, we multiplied. Family vacations were massive, let me tell you. So I went to school at NISH, New Iberia Senior High. I graduated there. From there, I went on to Northwestern State University in Natchitoches, Louisiana. And my major was, at first my major was theater. I went to school on a theater scholarship. I had these big lofty goals of becoming an actress one day. So that's what I always wanted to do. And I just decided, that's not the direction I want my life to take. So I changed my major and I went into journalism. So I did some backup reporting. I also was an assignments desk editor, and then I moved behind the camera and I became a news producer. And that's where I fell in love with TV news.
Awesome.
Yes, so I became a news producer, and once I did that, I actually moved to Alexandria, Louisiana. I got my first job there at KALB TV5.
Very familiar. I'm from Marksville, Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
So I've watched many shows. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I was the primetime news producer for the 6 p.m. and the 10 p.m. newscast. And from there, my life just went on from there.
So what brought you to Lafayette, Louisiana?
Well, I'm from home, and I separated from my husband, and I moved back home, and I got a job at Women's Foundation. I was the communications coordinator there. So I came back home to start over and begin a new life. And that's what I've done. I was there for 2 years. I had wonderful coworkers. I had wonderful experiences. And then I kind of expanded my skills into communications and marketing and PR, because after I left television, I went into sales. Then I did some community outreach. I worked in public relations a little bit. So all of those things came into play for my position at Women's Foundation.
Gotcha.
And I just loved it. And I was there for 2 years. And we call ourselves, the office staff was just so close-knit, we called ourselves WOFO Yams. So, and that's Women's Foundation Yams. It was really crazy. We had a great time.
Okay. And now you're at Vermilionville, is that correct?
Yes, right now I am the Director of Communications at Bayou Vermilion District, which encompasses Vermilionville, which is the Living History Museum and Folklife Park. So there I'm responsible for all of the public relations, advertising, marketing, all of the PR for all of our events, our special events, and for our ongoing programs.
Okay, well let me touch on that, because I remember a few weeks ago seeing in the news about the Vermilion Parish school board situation, and I remember seeing, I believe David Cheremy on the news saying that Vermilionville, the Bayou Vermilion District, was getting a lot of complaints on its Facebook page regarding the school board situation, which is totally 2 separate things. So explain to me, as someone new in that position, how you handled it.
Baptism by fire. It was crazy. As the Director of Communications, my job is to monitor social media platforms as well. So all of this took place, I think the VPSB, the meeting was on a Monday. So that Monday night, Tuesday afternoon, I started getting all kind of crazy notifications on my phone. And I was like, what's going on? And I saw all these horrible comments and derogatory, some of them statements. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, what is going on? So then I did a little research and I found out what happened. And what it was, people confuse Vermilion parish school board with Bayou Vermilion District. And it was mostly people from out of town that had, caught wind of the story.
For those, watching at home, this was a national story about the teacher that was arrested at the school board meeting regarding teacher pay raises. So apparently, the backlash was huge from the community, as you would expect, and you guys caught some of the backlash.
Yes, we did. We caught a lot of the backlash. We went from a stellar 5.0 rating to almost like a 2.3, 2.7. It was horrible. So what I did as a director of communication, I just began to activate our circle of influence. People are very well familiar with what we do and who we are in the community. So I went into crisis control, damage control, crisis communications, and we were able to recover within about 24 hours. So I sent out emails to all of the staff members, to all of the board members, and definitely to all of our brand ambassadors, the people in the area who are familiar with our great work. And from that point, people just began to rally behind us. And we had such a huge response, positive reviews.
I remember because I went to your Facebook page to write a comment, and I saw the other wonderful supporters that you guys had. So good job turning that around.
It was difficult, and I didn't do it alone. I mean, our brand ambassadors really came to our rescue, and we just began to see so many positive reviews. And it kind of helped us realize, people know who we are and they appreciate the work that we do. So we turned that obstacle into an opportunity, and it worked out well for us.
Good.
Yes.
Good
it
job.
Was a challenge, but it worked out well.
Trial by fire.
That's right. That's right.
Well, let's go a little bit back to your childhood. Whenever you were a child, what did you envision yourself doing as a career? Is it director of communications? Was that in your eyesight at all?
Actually, it wasn't. As a child, I was very audacious, very dramatic, as a lot of people would say. I was really into dramatic performances. I was in just about every pageant in the city of New Iberia and surrounding areas, especially in our church. So I was really good at performing oratorical speeches, and when I was in high school I was on the speech and debate team, and I went to several national conferences as a result. But as a child, my mom really taught me about public speaking, dramatic interpretation, so I would travel to different areas performing different poems by Langston Hughes. When I was a child, I won first place in our elocution contest for 7 consecutive years.
Wow.
Yes, and Shel Silverstein was my
contender.
favorite. I was a contender. I was a competitor, and we would practice those poems over and over to the point my brothers and sisters were like, we hate elocution time. Everybody in the house knew the poem by the time the elocution contest came along, especially in elementary school. But God had just gifted me with that, and it was something that was innate in me. So my mom saw that, she recognized it, my family supported me in that. So I wanted to become an actress. That was my goal. When you're young, you never realize that the dreams you have for yourself at that age will not come true.
Right.
People would tell me, maybe you should prepare, get a backup career just in case you don't become this or you don't achieve this goal. I wanted to host my own talk show. Oprah was one of my a mentor, not so much a mentor, but she was someone that I really admired. I aspired to do the wonderful things that she did, and that's what I wanted to do. But as I went along, things just didn't work out that way, and it's okay. It's okay. I still use a lot of my skill set, a lot of my training, a lot of those experiences to sit where I am now. And I still get to use those things, but not in that capacity, but in other capacity where it's still impacting lives. So I'm happy with the decisions.
Great. Well, speaking of impacting lives, who would you say up until this point is the most influential person in your life, whether it's career-wise or personal?
The most influential person in my life would definitely be my mother. My mom is the matriarch of our family. We lost our father several years ago, so now she is basically all that we have. So she is our support system. She's been there for me through thick and thin. She knows me better than anyone knows me. She'll call and say, well, hey, how are you? I haven't heard from you in a few days. Is everything okay? Oh, yeah, Mom, everything is great. And she's just like, Shawntell, you can fool some people some of the time, but you can never fool your mom.
Right. That's right. Mom knows best.
Mom knows best, and Mom knows us. So I would have to say she would be the most influential person in my life. You know, some people look at athletes and they look at actresses and actors and TV personalities, celebrities as their major influences, and that's fine, that's great. But mine is a little bit closer to home,
nice.
Right there
it's
from
realistic.
you right there. It is, yes.
In general, so this is again professional or personal to date, what is your proudest achievement?
My proudest achievement would be my son. He's a 14-year-old inquisitive teenager, and he's 14, but I always tell people he's 14 going on 20.
So he's mature.
He's very mature. He's very insightful. He's very introverted. He's totally opposite of me. You know, I'm just talking and walking into a room and networking and speaking to people and just moving around and talking to everyone. And he's very, very quiet. He's more observant. He stands in the background and he just takes a look at things, and he's very smart. He's a very strong kid. And I think that would be my proudest accomplishment. I love the things I've accomplished professionally. I love those things. I'm proud of those things. I've met some great people who have really had a great influence on my life. But being a mom is the best thing in the entire world. Just watching them grow up from children and move into adolescence, then move into adulthood, standing on their own, owning their own personality. I think that's the most beautiful thing in the world. And it's not always easy. Being a mom is not always easy. Right. Sometimes we struggle. Sometimes we make mistakes. And I've made my share of mistakes with my son, in my marriage, sometimes in other areas of my life. But I just always believe that all things work together for our good. And that's what I live by. That's what I stand on. My mom is a very spiritual person. We were reared in the church. Our faith is based on Jesus Christ. I'm a believer. And that's been instilled in me ever since I was a child. We would go to church, 5, 6, 7 times a week.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot, yes. My friends are playing outside and we're going to church, and you know, I'm like, Mom, can we just stay home today? I just want to go ride bicycles. Well, no, we have this going on at church, so we have to go. And there was a point I kind of resented it.
Sure.
Honestly, it was just a bit much, I thought.
Right.
But all of those lessons that I've learned then, when I go through things, I reflect back on those times. I reflect back on the scripture. I reflect back on the conversations with Mom and the experiences and the lessons, and I gain my strength from that, and I move on and I go on, and it's not always easy. You know, I'm dealing with a lot of things now, but I believe that God is in control, and I believe He will take care of me no matter what, and He'll take care of you. So no matter what, God will take care of you.
That's a wonderful answer.
And you have to believe it.
Sure.
You have to believe it.
Let's switch gears for just a minute and talk about AOC. How long have you been a member here? And tell me how you first got involved with AOC.
I first got involved with AOC through my job at Women's Foundation.
Okay.
There were a couple of things that I wanted to bring to the position and to bring to the organization. I wanted to do PSAs for our organization. Women's Foundation is a reputable organization, but as I matriculated throughout the community, a lot of people still did not know who we were and what we offered. So I began to seek out avenues to where people can learn a little bit more about AOC and who we are. So that's what I did here. I came to AOC. We started doing PSAs every week. I did several bulletins that runs consistently on the television, letting people know who we are, Women's Foundation. I came in and we began a podcast here, so we were using the audio room. Yes, we had a great time. And we just interviewed different organizations whose mission were similar to ours, and we partnered with some of those organizations. And the podcast went very well. And I began using all of the resources that AOC had to offer. So I've been involved since about 2016. And then in my new position at Bayou Vermilion District as Director of Communications, we're also going to get even more involved here because there are some things that I'd like to bring to the organization that AOC offers.
Wonderful.
Yes.
What was your first impression of AOC whenever you joined and as the foundation, representative? What did you think about AOC?
Well, when I first came to AOC, I had relocated back from Alexandria. So when I came back, everything was different. Lafayette had grown and we had all of these great resources that I didn't know about. And when I first came to AOC, my first impression was, wow, what a tool for the community. What great programs, what great equipment they offer for people who want to go into various things, mostly concerning the arts. People who want to get the word out about their organization. And my first impression was just what a great resource for this community. Right. So we began to use all of the resources that AOC offers. And it was really, really beneficial to our organization. So I'm really glad that I was able to get involved and stay involved. And then in the future, through Bayou Vermilion District, we're also going to use some of the resources that you all have here to promote who we are even the more throughout Lafayette and the surrounding parishes.
Such as a podcast or a show? Tell me a little bit more about what type of project you envision in the future.
In the future, for Bayou Vermilion District, using the resources that AOC offers, I envision doing a podcast, definitely. I'm going to come in and do some PSAs, also use the bulletins as well. But I really want to get a podcast going, and that's going to be my goal for the second quarter, to get that podcast going, edit, and also to place on our website, and then place on some of our social media platforms as well. We have a lot of content, and AOC allows you to come in and record. You can even edit at AOC, and once you do that, then you have that product so you can share with the community. So those are my future plans with AOC.
Great, great. Glad to hear that. Glad we can be of service.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to switch over to some fun questions now and a little bit more about you, getting to know you. What would your best friend or closest family member say is your best quality?
My closest family member and my best friend actually would tell you that my best quality would be my public speaking ability, but my quality would be compassion and getting to know people and being personable with people. So it's several. It's not just one thing, but all of those things kind of are under the same umbrella.
Right.
They would say that Shawntell will talk to anyone. She never meets a stranger.
Right, right.
They would probably tell you other things like, oh wow, Shawntell is very outgoing. She's very spontaneous. Some of my family members would probably say, oh my gosh, she's just crazy. She's over the top. she's a mess.
Well, you don't seem that way.
Well, thank you so much. Maybe I should have my family members come and talk to you. Yes, but my best friends would probably say that too, because they know me on a personal level. But they would also tell you that I'm very encouraging. I'm very supportive. They can tell me, hey, Shawntell, I want to be president. And okay, yes, well, okay, this is what we can do. We can do this, this, and this. And I'm full of ideas, creative ideas, and lots of energy, which sometimes can be exhausting.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very exhausting sometimes.
You don't want to spread yourself too thin.
And that's one of the things that I do. I spread myself too thin because it's so many great things that I want to do in my life. especially now at 40.
Right, right.
You know,
Well,
so
you don't
it's,
look a day over 25.
oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. I feel it sometimes.
Sometimes I feel 80. Don't worry
Yeah.
about that. Whenever you were talking about, your passion and things that you like to do and encourage people, and I can definitely see that side of you. Are you involved with any nonprofit organizations or plan to become involved in helping any charities in the Lafayette community?
Actually, yes, I am involved with a nonprofit organization, and it's the United Way of Acadiana. When I first came back to Acadiana, when I was at Women's Foundation, my boss came to us and she said, I think we should start getting involved in the community a little bit more. So what we did, we chose an organization, a nonprofit, and we started to do some volunteer work. And the first thing I did, I became a United Way reader. And that program is, you go into the school system and the teachers select students who are on the borderline. They're having a little trouble reading. They haven't fallen behind in school, but just with some extra help, they could become even better. So we are paired with a student, and we would go there every week. And I began just really falling in love with, what I was doing and helping the kids and helping them achieve academically and just becoming better readers. So I've been doing that for several years, and I've also worked with the Career Connections program through the United Way as well. And we probably saw over maybe 3,000 to 4,000 kids at the Career Connections symposium that they put on, and it was amazing. And I was in leisure and entertainment. So what we did, we got the kids to sit down and tell us how much money they want to spend for outdoor activities, for their hobbies, for fitness and travel, different parts of their lives. And we helped them work out their budget. And as high school kids, I mean, some kids were spending $1,500 per month on leisure. And I was like, okay, well, that's good. Now, at this point, you have to keep in mind, you haven't eaten yet, you haven't paid your mortgage or your rent.
Right. The essentials.
Yes,
Yeah.
the essentials, the basic things. You have to put gas in your car to go to work. You
And
want
then
to
pay
have
the insurance.
Yes, then
Yeah.
you have to pay the insurance, and you have to take care of the maintenance. And they were like, wow, we never thought about all of that. And I said, yes. That's all a part of life. That's all a part of growing up and being an adult. So a lot of kids they said, well, my mom is going to pay for this at that point. I said, no, you have to remember, this is when you're on your own. Our priorities start to change whenever we have to pay for them.
Right, right.
So the kids were like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to go home and thank my parents.
Oh, how
A lot of them, yes, because they didn't realize that it cost for everything. So that was a great experience.
That sounds like a great project to be involved with.
It was a great project, and I volunteered, and it was just a great experience for me as well, just to be able to help them and to see that light go off and say, wow, maybe I need to get a little bit more serious with my studies so that I can have that great career that I want to have, so that I can afford to do the things that I want to do.
The things that are on your leisure list.
Yes, the things that are on and they wanted to go to Greece. One young man said, I want to travel every month. I want to be able to have my cell phone. I want to be able to go on cruises and have these elaborate parties. And I said, wow, that's great. That sounds amazing. Yeah. I'm going to come to your house and, spend some time with you and your family. But they had big, lofty goals. But then they realized that it's going to cost money.
Right.
So they, some of them scaled it down. Some of them were like, no, I'm just going to make it, and I'm going to do it, and I'm this is what I'm going to spend, and I'm going to live that life. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Well, speaking of dream vacations, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Wow. Can we come back to that
Yes,
question?
we can.
Okay.
Not a problem. And then I'm going to ask you another question about people that influence your life. If you could spend one day in someone else's shoes, who would it be and why would you choose that person?
Can we come back to that
Yes, we
question?
can. I'm throwing some out.
No,
but,
no,
just,
I know. I'm having to think. It's so many people, but I need to narrow it down to
not a
one.
problem. Not a
Okay.
problem. And then this is another one that this is a good question to ask regarding whether it's a celebrity, someone in history, a family member. If you could have dinner with someone, whether they're living or deceased, who would it be and why? And you can pick more than one person.
If I could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, I would say that person would be Jesus Christ. God, why did you allow me to go through this? Why did you allow me to go through that? What is my purpose in life? What steps should I take? How can I make this situation better in my life? Mm-hmm. And I would like to have dinner with him because he knows all and he sees all, and he can be able to possibly help me in my life and to help me become even more successful.
Yeah.
Can we come back to that question?
But you answered it beautifully.
I mean,
I don't know if we even need to come back to it.
It's kind of corny, but
no.
You know, if you don't believe in God or Jesus, then of course, I don't know, but it would be Jesus, yeah.
I think
that's my answer.
A good
yes.
person to ask
yes.
a lot of questions to.
Yes, yes.
And I think he'd have some insightful answers.
I would hope so.
Let's switch gears into some fun categories. Music. What are some of your favorite bands or musicians? Do you like a lot of local artists or artists on a national level? What's your preference when it comes to music?
When it comes to music, I'm very, very diverse. I like all types of music. I like country music, reggae music, jazz, R&B. I love gospel music. The lyrics just really speak to your soul. Mm-hmm. I love to attend local festivals and attend different small venues around town, hearing some of the local artists. I can't remember all of their names, mm-hmm. but I just love that about Lafayette and about Acadiana. Every night you can go somewhere and enjoy some live music. There was this one artist, it was a young lady. Her first name, I know it was Elise, and she played a variety of music, and she was just really, really a good performer. She was an excellent entertainer, and her voice was just almost angelic. Mm-hmm. And every time I go to Lafayette gigs to see who's playing where, I would try and look her up and see where she would be playing. Mm-hmm. So I love all sorts of music. I just love music. They always say it's the universal language. Mm-hmm. It speaks to your soul. You can be so expressive when it comes to music. And I enjoy all of it. Some of my favorite all-time singers would be some of the R&B singers, the legends, I would say Prince, Michael Jackson, absolutely. And actually, when I came to Lafayette, I was able to attend, I never attended any Michael Jackson concerts, but I was able to attend the Janet Jackson concert mm-hmm. that was here in the Cajun Dome, and I had a phenomenal mm-hmm. time. She has been one of my all-time favorites ever since I was a child, growing up with Control and Rhythm Nation, and we were younger. We were all trying to dress like Janet mm-hmm. and dance like Janet, and I tell you, of course, we couldn't do it. You know,
right. I know. I practiced myself.
Yes.
I can't emulate her moves.
No,
right?
no. There's only one Janet.
Right.
And she came to the Cajun Dome and she gave a phenomenal show. She did. And she still mm-hmm. has her personality and her dance and her moves. So she was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. But I love the greats. I love Luther Vandross, Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, all of those, Patti LaBelle. I really love a lot of gospel artists as mm-hmm. well. Fred Hammond, John P. Key. Oh my God, it's so many of them. CeCe Winans. I love Martha Menizzi. It's just so many of them. And actually, several years ago, as a journalist, I began to do some freelance writing for several magazines. Mm-hmm. And one of the magazines I freelanced for was called Epitome Magazine. And it's the #1 gospel publication in the country. Wow. And they're based out of Dallas. Mm-hmm. And I got a chance to meet the founders of the magazine and the publishers, and they were just great people. And I started writing different stories for different segments in their magazine. So I got a chance to meet some extraordinary people. I got a chance to interview Fred Hammond, and he was my all-time favorite. So I got a chance to tell him that. John P.
That's nice when you're a big fan, and then you get to talk.
And then you get to talk to them. It was an amazing interview. Tamala Mann, I was able to speak with her and interview her. CeCe Winans, who's also one of my favorites. I was able to spend some time with her and just get to know her as on a personal level. So that was a great experience. And then I was able to talk to just everyday people. There was a segment called Marriage Life. So I began to interview different couples that had been together for 40 years or, 35 years, and ask them, what is the secret to your marriage? What makes it work? What are some challenges that you all overcame? Or what are some things you would tell young couples that are considering getting married? What is some advice? And then I was able to highlight some community greats. Some were athletes, some were just people in the community just doing great things, making a difference in the lives of others. So that's a great experience that I really, really enjoy.
Sounds like a wonderful list of people that have influenced your life.
Yes.
Are you reading anything right now? Are there any books that are on your favorite list, or are you currently reading any books?
Yes, I am. And a lot of the books I read now has to do with my career. So a lot of things I'm reading, it's like public relations in museums. I'm learning more about the culture of the Acadian, Creole, and Native American people in the period that we represent at Vermilionville. So those are the things that I'm kind of into right now, just learning how to become more efficient at my job and attending workshops and attending the different organizations. I'm a member of PROUD, Public Relations Association of Louisiana, the Acadiana chapter. I'm also a One Ambassador member. So a lot of those things influence all of the materials that I read, and it's mostly work related. And I kind of miss just reading a book. We would go to the beach on our family vacation. Sometimes I would grab a book and just sit on the beach and read. Just
get in your own zone.
My own zone, and just relax from work and just kind of have that downtime.
Right.
So I haven't had a chance to do a lot of that as of the last 4 or 5 months, but I'll get there. So what I'm reading now is anything that can positively affect my career. So all things public relations, all things management, all things advertising, marketing, things of that nature. So I'm learning a lot.
Awesome. Very good, very good. We're at the beginning of the year. We're in February right now. Do you, towards the end of the previous year, ever make any New Year's resolutions or any plans for the upcoming year? And if so, do you have any plans for 2018 or plan to conquer the world?
I have great plans for 2018. I would say, yes, I do make New Year's resolutions. But by the end of January, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm supposed to be eating better. I'm supposed to be exercising more. I'm supposed to be doing this or doing that. And sometimes it doesn't happen the way we plan. But this year, I've resolved to leave the past behind, not sweat the small things, begin to build a closer relationship with my family, with my friends, with my son, begin to really help him become more empowered as a teenager and as a young man growing up. And other things I want to do is just become the best version of myself in whatever capacity that may be, whether it's in volunteering, whether it's becoming the best director that I can become professionally, whether it's becoming a better friend, a better Christian, just a better person all around. Those are the goals I have for myself in 2018, and not just 2018, but beyond. I just want to live out my life to the fullest. I want to really follow my passion, and I really want to just fulfill God's purpose for my life, whatever that may be. And I want him to use my gifts so that I can affect my circle of influence and affect other people positively. and just go on to do great things. And I believe that great things are within all of us. I believe that greatness is within all of us. And you know, a lot of times we start off the new year with these huge, lofty ambitions. And like I said, at the end of January, we've forgotten about them. But if you're true to yourself and you're honest and you say, you know, realistically, I can accomplish this in this quarter. Maybe by June, I can have this done. And then by December, I'll be at this place. If we break those things down and come up with SMART goals, which is specific, measurable, they're very accurate, they're realistic and timely, the word SMART. And if we do those things in all facets of our lives, I think that at the end of the year, we'll see an improvement and we'll see some progress so that we can be impactful in our lives.
Well, speaking of our lives, you know, in totality, how would you like to be remembered whenever that day comes, when you pass away? How do you want your legacy to be on other people?
At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the legacy that I want to leave behind for my son, for this community, I want people to say, you know what? Shawntell lived her life. She was kind. She was compassionate. She lived her life full of love. She forgave. She lived. She laughed. She experienced all of the great things that life sent to her. She overcame obstacles with grace and finesse. Even though she may have been knocked down in one area, she rose again and she was powerful, and she forgave those that did her wrong. She overcame insurmountable odds. And I want people to remember me as a person that was just a representative of Christ and my love walk and how I treat people, how I communicate with a stranger. I want to be remembered as just a good person who was living her life and trying to do whatever God placed in her heart to do. I would say I want that to be my legacy.
Wow. Well, that's a very impressive one at that.
Yes.
Well, that concludes our interview. You did an amazing job.
Thank you so much.